setback, of course. Licha just returning. You see his contribution to the team when he's playing. So he brings, apart from his technical skills, also mentality in the team. But yeah, it's a big setback for Licha. He's very disappointed about it, but he's a fighter and he will be back. He will be stronger back.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to United and Everything Football Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us every single time. We are always grateful to have you here on United and Everything Football. In the year 2024, United has not lost a game. Yes.
New year. Right. New year, I told you, Kwame. New year.
Kwame mentioned it, that, well, it's a new year, so United is going to turn a new leaf. Well, it happens that United has not lost a game, but there is a big test coming at the Villa Park where United will be playing against Aston Villa on that game. There are a few things we will be discussing on the stadium redevelopment or whether to build a new stadium. All of these things will be happening here on United and Everything Football. Frankie De Jong, what are we hearing? Does he want to come to United at this point in time? What has gone wrong at Barca? Well, we'll be discussing that here on United and Everything Football. So stay with us. As usual, remember to hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell. Is important so that anytime a new episode drops, you'll be notified and you would be able to enjoy this beautiful content we've put together for you. Your comments, your likes are also very important. Please, if you have any suggestion, any comment or whatsoever, please leave them in the comment section for us. If you want us to read them, we'll do that here on United and Everything Football. Let's go for a break. When we come back, we delve into the issues here on United and Everything Football. We are back once again here on United and Everything Football. Thank you so much for joining us. Kwame Chukwuesiakwe is here. I didn't introduce him, but he rudely got into the show. Kwame, it's always great to have you. Always great to have you on the show.
It's always fantastic to be here.
What is happening? We are yet to lose a game. Yeah, I mean, are we going to lose a game anytime soon?
Hey, don't jinx it.
I'm just asking. I mean, it's been so good for us.
You're mentioning it too often, so you're going to jinx this.
On that note, let's get into the game against Villa. We go to Villa Park, very, very notorious grounds over the past couple of seasons. Not until recently where teams have been going there to get someone. Newcastle, Chelsea not too long ago in the FA Cup replay. I mean, they were having consecutive home wins. Our away form, on the other hand, has been quite dodgy. But let's look at the game. How or what are your expectations going into the game against Villa?
All right. So Villa Park, historically, Villa Park, it's a very fruitful ground for Manchester United. Yeah. Take away last season's results that we lost, I think 3-1 over there.
Yeah.
That's actually an anomaly. We often go there and we win. Villa Park, Selhurst Park, that's the home of Crystal Palace. Yeah. These are two very historically favorable grounds for Manchester United, irrespective of our form. We often go to such grounds and win. The difference is Unai Emery has made that place a fortress. They are 8 points ahead of us, mainly because of their home form. They rarely lose points in the Premier League at home. But then, like you said, in recent weeks, it's become a bit dodgy over there. Just a few days ago, when I was rooting for them to do one over Chelsea, they lost miserably to a Chelsea side that was like short on confidence. And then they lost 3-1. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing because they started that game very well and then somehow they completely capitulated. But then it's a huge test for a Villa side that is venturing into the unknown. That is looking for Champions League football. They've not been in this situation for a long time. At least since promotion, I've never seen them ever come anywhere close to challenging for a top 4 spot. But then this is where they find themselves in the business end of the season, needing to get results no matter what in pressure situations to be able to get a top 4 spot. That is where the experience of Manchester United should come in.
Yeah.
Eric Ten Hag said in the last press conference that now every game is a final. And it's true. I've been on his case since the start of the year because I feel the same thing. That we are in a situation where we should not and cannot drop points, especially in 6 pointers like that. West Ham was a 6 pointer, Spurs was a 6 pointer.
Yeah.
The least you should do is not lose.
Yeah.
But in as much as you should not lose, we are points behind such teams, so we should be winning.
Yeah.
8 points, it's a big gap at this point. But then when you consider the number of games that's left for the rest of the season, it's something that is surmountable. We can eat into those 8 points and then crawl our way back into top four contention. We can only do so by starting off with a win at Villa Park. Places like Villa Park, we should go there and win. West Ham, we won. Villa Park, we won. Spurs, we drew. At least we are on the right side in terms of points tallies when it comes to games against our direct rivals for that top four position. So what United will turn up? That's the question now. We have seen a United team that has slowly built something in terms of confidence and style of play over the past couple of weeks. It started off slow against Newport. We saw them pick up against Wolves, but then the second half of the Wolves game was not really great. Against West Ham, you could see a team that was, it's confident, more assured, more in control, and we went into a football game and won it without any, pressure or any tension,
drama,
especially at the no drama at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yes. So I feel like we are confident now. The only downside is we lost a very crucial player to us in that West Ham game in terms of how we see. Eric Ten Hag is right. Let's put aside all the negatives you have about the manager and all the doubts you have about the manager. Those injuries that we've had, it's so clear, so evident that if those players were fit throughout the whole season, maybe we started the season slow, but we could have built something way earlier in the season than we are actually trying to build now.
That's true.
But then we don't have a choice now. We have to fast track everything. These guys are all back except for Lisandro Martinez.
Yes.
Harry Maguire may have to step in for him. He's had a decent season. He's not been as bad as last season. So I think he's an able enough deputy in the meantime until we get Lisandro Martinez back for the final stretch of the season. You have to go there. You have to go there against that Unai Emery side, against the likes of Watkins, against what's their captain's name? The Scottish
John McGinn.
Energetic McGinn. We have to match their energy because they'll be pumped up, especially after losing that FA Cup tie that they did expect to win. They'll be pumped up to try and get a result. Newcastle have gone there and won. Chelsea have gone there and won. I don't see why Manchester United cannot go there and continue in the Villa Park tradition of actually getting points in their own venue. We have to go there with them.
But I mean, considering everything, considering this game, are your hopes for top four still up there? I still have my doubts. I mean, basically because of the teams ahead of us. I'm not sure of what will happen. They are not, teams that traditionally, try to punch up to that level, but they've been putting in some very decent performance. Spurs, for instance, but we are just hoping they pull a Spursy on us once again. Villa, as you said, are getting into a territory they are not so familiar with. Over the last couple of years. Do you still think there is the slightest amount of chance that United breaks into the top four? Because as we discussed the other day, 1, 2, 3 has already been occupied. The position now is the fourth spot. You think United have what it takes?
If we had to ward off any of the top 3 sides for a top 4 spot at this stage of the season, I'll be worried. That is, if we were in a contention with Arsenal, Liverpool, or City. City, it never ever happens. But then, if we were in contention for a top 4 spot against those 3 teams, I would be worried. But then, those 3 positions are locked for those 3 teams. We're talking about the 4th spot being available for grabs, and the competition is Spurs, which you rightly said, they pull a Spurs in all the time. And Aston Villa. These are the 2 teams that are just above us. It's not like there's so many teams above us. It's just those 2 teams. And if you gave me at the beginning of the season that our season would be this bad, but if it came down to competing for the last Champions League spot and the teams that you had to compete for were Spurs and Villa, I think United would stand a chance irrespective of any points gap between the two teams.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it. So I'm not giving up on the top 4 spots yet.
Yeah.
We have 15 league games to go.
Yeah.
We need a minimum of 70 points to make top 4 this season,
Mm-hmm.
right? That means United have to win at least 10 games out of the 15 and draw a couple.
Yeah.
If we win 10 games out of the 15, I think that's 30 points plus 2. That's 32 points from the 2 draws.
Yeah.
Plus the 38 points that we have now, that's 70 points.
Yeah.
So every 5 games remaining, United should be winning a minimum of 3, losing a maximum of 1 out of every 5 other games you have till the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that is unreasonable. That's the situation we've put ourselves in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said before, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did it.
Yeah.
I always say that if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer pulled it off,
Puts that
I don't
together.
see why. Exactly.
Yeah.
In the last few games of the season, Ole went on a tear and got us Champions League football by the end of the last game of the season.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving up on that. And it seems to be a minimum requirement if this manager is going to,
continue his
be in charge come next season. So he has to, for the sake of continuity, he has to pull it off.
He has to pull it off. All right. So that's it on United Villa, and whether and what it means for our chances for top 4. In the course of the week, the news has been coming with regards to Old Trafford. The debate has been on for quite some time. I mean, people are debating whether we should knock down Old Trafford and put up a new structure. There is the traditionalists or the those who are very conservative, who are of the view that no, we have to maintain the iconic Old Trafford and just do some renovations and touch up and uplift it to a certain modern standard. I mean, the debate has been raging on. Kwame, what's been the latest on this, and what is your opinion on this? Are you for knocking down or building next to the lands that have been identified that are United's lands?
Exactly.
Or do you think we should just touch up Old Trafford? And there's the issue of the Wembley of the North that has also come up by Sir Jim Ratcliffe. It looks like an idea he's mooting to the UK government as to what United should do with regards to that. Kwame, let me hear you.
Let me just use this analogy for an example. You have a huge plot of land, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And you built an old house, like you build a house there in one corner of your land.
Yes.
And let's say 20 years ago, you built that house over there. It's outdated, it's outmoded.
Yeah.
And you have this huge plot of land but then this house of yours just sits in the corner of your piece of land, and it's rotten and it's breaking down, dilapidated, and you need an upgrade. And you say to yourself, you know what, my neighbor's house is just right behind my house, and I can't build into my neighbor's house. But then if I want to expand my house, I can build a bit over my neighbor's house, right?
Yeah.
To make my house modern now.
Yeah.
Why are you just wasting all the rest of the piece of land that you have right in front of you just because you are nostalgic? You are so attached to that old building. Why don't you just build a new one right in the middle of the huge piece of land that you have without having anything to do with your neighbor? The reason why I'm bringing all these things up is there's a rail line just behind the suburb Jalton stand.
Yeah.
We are not Mancunians to give details, but we do read a lot.
Yeah.
It's right behind there. And if United is going to expand that stand, we probably have to build over the rail line, right, to be able to do so. Why go through all those architectural complications when you can just build a new building right next to the old one? The old building can serve as a place for the women's team or the youth team. It could even be a museum if people are so attached to the history of the old stadium. It doesn't need to be knocked down. Yeah. It can still be there, and people can pay whatever tribute they want to pay to the Holy Trinity, to the Sir Alex Ferguson statue, to whichever statues that exist there. They can continue to pay their tributes to it. Fans from all around the world can continue to travel to Old Trafford to tour the stadium that has so much history and it's so iconic. But nostalgia and history should not hold Manchester United back.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen other clubs, Barcelona, knock down their stadium. They're building it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Real Madrid have basically built a new stadium, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich moved from the Olympic Stadium years ago to the Allianz Arena. And the football has nothing has changed in terms of their football.
Yeah.
They are creating new history in their new stadium.
Yeah.
They are making a lot more money in their new stadium. Juventus moved from Turin to their new stadium now.
Yeah.
People are moving on. You've seen the Etihad; it's just next door.
Mm-hmm.
They are planning on expanding it and it's even far more modern than Manchester United Stadium is. Yet they're trying to upgrade it further.
Mm-hmm.
See, United should move on to new things. We should be able to improve. We deserve the best. We deserve a world-class stadium that would not just seat the 75,000 people, probably more, but then would offer far more than what Old Trafford offers right now.
That's it.
So you don't have to knock Old Trafford down. You can leave Old Trafford where it is. Just build it in build a new stadium in your huge plot of land that is just wasting away without purpose. I just don't get the nostalgia, to be honest. The people should just move on. Others are moving on. We should move on too.
Others are moving on, and we should move on too. I agree with you. I mean, there are classic examples of other clubs that are all putting up new structures. It's very important that I understand the nostalgia bit. I understand that, yes, people have created memories. I'm listening to a lot of ex-players like Liu Masari talking about scoring goals at the Trafford end, and I mean, the memories that they've been creating and all of that. I mean, Old Trafford can still serve a purpose. I mean, like you rightly said, the youth team, the women's team can all, I don't know, I stand corrected, but the women's team are using Lace Sports Complex. And as far as I know, I don't think it's United property.
Exactly.
So if you have Old Trafford as well, I mean, they can also make use of that. And the youth team also.
They could even downgrade Old Trafford in terms of size, right? To fit that purpose, that it serves the women's team as well as the youth teams. When you see the city campus, they have other stadiums, mini stadiums as well. You could downgrade Old Trafford to that level to fit that purpose. And it wouldn't change much.
I mean,
if we do a poll right now, do you know what's going to happen? If we do a poll for Mancunians, I mean, people living in England and Manchester to be specific, they'll probably go like keep Old Trafford. But then Manchester United's fan base does not end there. Most of the fans that support Manchester United exist outside of Manchester, outside of England. You do a poll for them, they don't have that attachment to Old Trafford like you would assume. And they would all go for a new stadium. The debate is just, I feel it's just a regional debate. You have those who are English Mancunians who probably come from Salford, go like, yeah, let's just keep the stadium, the history. I've got my grandmother's ashes there. You know what I'm saying? But then if you go to general populace, most people would say, come on, Old Trafford is old. Old Trafford is too old. Let's just move on.
The debate is going to go on and on and on and on and on. But what is most important is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is very much committed to working on the issues with regards to Old Trafford. I mean, that's the most important thing that we pick out from all of these things. That's the new minority shareholder who has a lot more controlling stake now. Also is of the view that, yes, we need to make a change or some amendments to our stadium for it to befit the modern levels that the club is trying to push itself to get to. All right. So we are told that very soon the ratification of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's ownership of the club will be done. Maybe by the time we finish this podcast, it would have been confirmed, or early next week, somewhere there. We are hoping that this news will be confirmed so that work will start proper. There is a search for a DOF. We are hearing that right after the ratification has been done, it's likely the appointment of the DOF would be done, the director of football for the club, all of that. So we get into issues of summer transfers and all of that. Getting into the issues of summer transfers. Well, some name has come up again. Frankie De Jong. I'm not sure many United fans would want that name anywhere close to the team after what this young man and his management took us through in Erik ten Hag's first season when he became the star man or the marquee signing that the club wanted, but decided to stay in Barcelona. Well, news coming up indicates that he's now open to leaving Barcelona, his boyhood club, his favorite club. I don't know. A lot is happening at Barcelona. Xavi wants to leave. Financially, they are not in a better place. Maybe the challenge isn't as expecting. But Kwame, Frankie De Jong, I don't want him. Yes, I don't want Frankie De Jong. We already have Kobe Mainoo. But I don't know what.
I want Frankie De Jong. I
don't
want Frankie De Jong.
I don't want him.
It's good that we're on the opposite side of this,
Yes,
and I'll explain my stance.
Yes,
I'll explain my stance. I don't care about yours. I'll explain my stance.
I equally don't care about yours, but I will hear it. Let's go.
All right. So at the end of the day, it comes down to quality.
Yeah.
He's a quality, experienced central midfield player whose attributes is something that we would need. I think the next Manchester United midfield signing should be a hybrid of a 6 and an 8.
Mm-hmm.
And Frankie De Jong is the perfect hybrid of a 6 and 8. I wouldn't want to see him go to any of our rival clubs because I believe he would upgrade them. But then all this is tied to if Erik ten Hag is going to be the manager next season. If Erik ten Hag is going to be the manager next season. Oh, funny enough, we just found out that Erik ten Hag does have a plus 1 year extension in his contract. So Ineos don't necessarily have to, sweat over what to do with him.
Just trigger it.
Exactly. They just have to trigger a 1 year extension if they want to give him the opportunity to continue for at least one more season to gauge whether he is the manager for them in the future. Ineos is in a comfortable position.
Yes.
But then if Erik ten Hag stays and wants Frankie De Jong, I want us to get him Frankie De Jong.
Mm-hmm.
Not all his signings have been great, but I feel like if you look at the ball playing qualities of Lisandro Martinez behind him, I mean, in defense, and you look at the need for us to get midfielders who can retain the football, drive with the football, and control games for us better, because control of games has been a huge bane when it comes to us, especially in the latter stages of games where he's bringing on Scott McTominay. I mean, if you have Scott McTominay in your team and you don't want Frankie De Jong in your team, I just don't see how that actually works.
He's not the only profile available.
Talk about control. Hold on, let me finish. You can defend your point right after this.
I'm waiting for you.
And when I feel like if you have a player like this in your midfield, it allows the manager to do what he claims he's always wanted to do better.
Yeah.
Not all his signings have worked, but I feel Frankie De Jong is somebody that's, and age profile-wise, I think he's 26, 27.
Yeah.
Right?
He's
Casemiro is
27, yeah.
Yes, he's in his prime. If you are going to go by prime and the age players find themselves in their prime, he is in his prime. He's supposed to be the best version of himself around this time. Yeah. If you're getting that player into your midfield, I think that is a huge addition. Casemiro is not going to be there forever. Casemiro is on his last legs, let's be honest. In a season, he will probably be gone.
Yeah.
And that will be a seamless transition if you have a player like Frankie De Jong available. Frankie De Jong, to me, does not impede the progress of Kobe Mainoo. Frankie De Jong rather augments what Kobe Mainoo could actually be to us in the future. See, good players are always good players. Good players make others better. Get Frankie De Jong next to Kobe Mainoo in that midfield instead of the likes of Fred, who was there a year ago, McTominay, who is still hanging around for God knows what reason, Eriksen, who probably needs a heart transplant, and Casemiro, who can't run to save his life. Yeah. Get Frankie De Jong into our midfield if Erik ten Hag is still the manager, and that is a positive signing. What's your defense?
I disagree. I mean, for his footballing qualities, there is absolutely nothing wrong. But you look at other factors now. Chief of it is that Frankie De Jong has never been interested in playing for Manchester United. It was made quite clear. I mean, from our first...
He was not interested in playing for Manchester United.
He was, yes. What has changed? I want to know. From Frankie De Jong.
I can tell you what has changed.
What has changed?
I can tell you what has changed.
What has changed?
So you have to go back to his
You're going to conjecture.
Issues.
So on record, he's going to conjecture. So let's hear.
We have to go back to his contractual issues.
Yes.
Frankie De Jong signed for Barcelona in 2019, a 7-year contract.
Yes.
7-year contract. And that 7-year contract, as at the time he had signed, he wasn't on the silliest wages in the world. But what happened was Barcelona went through what Barcelona went through, and players had to defer their wages.
Yes.
And in deferring their wages, Frankie De Jong took the barest minimum at the start of his early years at Barcelona. Yet almost all his wages had been deferred to the latter years of his contract. We are talking about 2024, 2023, 24, 2024, 25, and 2025, 26. On top of that, as compensation for agreeing to defer his wages, loyalty bonuses were included in those contracts, the amount of about 10 million euros per season. Frankie De Jong stands to earn over 30 million euros from Barcelona. That includes his deferred wages plus the loyalty bonuses for deferring his wages. As at the time, Barcelona were trying to pull a fast one on him. It was so clear that they were trying to pull a fast one on the kid. And he didn't stand up for it. He loves Barcelona, all right. But it was just too much money to just step away from and go like, I'm going to Manchester United, and what happens to the rest? Barcelona is still paying some players, including Messi, deferred wages and blah, blah, blah. But in that moment in time, Barcelona just wanted to get rid of him and pull a fast one on him in terms of what money that they owed him.
Okay.
He's saying, or reports suggest, that he's open to a move now. The question is not what has changed in terms of he wanted to come to Manchester United, because that has never been said. The question is what has changed in terms of his stance of trying to move away from the club that he claims that he loves so much.
Yes.
That's the question.
Okay.
And there's a simple answer to that. Frankie De Jong is not going to run down his contract. Barcelona is not going to allow him to run down his contract. They have to sit down at this moment in time and decide, are you going to be with us long term, in which we have to offer you a new contract, of which we have to resolve your current contract terms and the money that we owe you, or we have to cash out on you because this issue that we have with you is not sustainable. It is clear. You see how everybody is running away from Barcelona now. And they can't even sign players, and they are loaning, they are taking in loans, and they are loaning players and all those kind of things. It's clear that financially, keeping a player like Frankie De Jong, who allegedly even earns more per how the contract situation has turned out than Lewandowski, it doesn't make sense to keep a player like this on their books anymore. So he's going to be available on the market. Finally, he's going to be available on the market. And I wouldn't want to see him play for any of our rival clubs. Frankie De Jong goes to Arsenal, we are fucked. He goes, sorry, I had to start one. He goes to Liverpool, we are so fucked as well. He goes to Chelsea, he's never going to Chelsea. I mean, he goes to City, oh God, we are so fucked. Get him to Manchester United instead. That's my explanation.
Leave your comments in the comment section. You agree with him. I do not agree with him.
You are just sentimental. You are hurt. You are pained by the fact that he said he did not want to come to us.
I have to be sentimental.
Oh, shush.
It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. Anyway, so that's how we draw down the curtain for today's episode of United and Everything. I hope you've had fun just like we have had fun today. Leave your comments in there. Should Frankie De Jong, should we accept Frankie De Jong? Should we go and pay money to Frankie De Jong?
Yes, not 70 million pounds though, but then you know we should have better negotiation powers now that the likes of Woodward and his cohorts, his cartel, they are going to leave. We should negotiate better. 50-60 million pounds for Frankie, bring him home.
That's it. So that's how we draw down the curtain for today's episode of United and Everything Football. Thanks for joining. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let's have a great time. We'll be back after United against Aston Villa with a big win after that. Thank you. Have a great time.